Hello everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Financial Insight Show. I'm your host, Mwelwa Chibesakunda, and with me is the Zambia Tourism Agency CEO, Mr. Matongo Matamwandi. Mr. Matongo, how are you doing?
I'm well, thank you, and nice to be back here.
Absolutely, absolutely. And thank you so much for coming to visit us. I know this looks a bit of a different home, but Financial Insight just recently signed an agreement with Africa Works. So we'll be having some of our interviews from the Africa Works space. So currently we are at the Agora Village, where Africa Works just recently opened up their newest outlet. But let's get straight into it. CEO, you just recently made a big announcement through a report that was presented just barely 7 days ago.
Yeah.
Are you able to just share with us the key highlights there? Because it obviously touched on some critical milestones that the tourism agency has actually achieved.
Thanks for inviting us. As usual, I think you are now a known friend of every sector, especially in terms of the business side, and we appreciate you taking time to cover and share with the public what we are doing in the tourism space. There's excitement around the country, there's excitement in the sector itself, that we are announcing our big numbers. If you ask me, I had my own inner doubts on the targets we had set ourselves.
Those very ambitious targets,
by the way.
Yes,
it was. Yeah. But there's just this self-belief, and I was telling my team, I said, look, the last 2 years when we had the privilege to serve in this position, I did indicate to the team, I said, for all the marketing skills that we have gathered over the years and having the opportunity of serving with a PS who is a marketer and a minister who is a marketer, the three of us coming together, we agreed we are actually going to put tourism on marketing steroids.
Wow.
And that's exactly what we have done.
Very strong ones.
Yeah. So obviously out of strategy, out of a lot of ambition, and for this particular year we are announcing, we had set ourselves that we are going to hit 2 million international arrivals.
Correct.
And we're just moving from slightly below 1.4.
Right.
And come December, we are checking our numbers. And I think just second week, because we track these numbers on a weekly basis.
Right.
Just second week of December, and my team was saying, CEO, we have hit the 2 million numbers. So we'll be going slightly over 2 million. Probably we should be able to hit 2.2. Obviously, I had my own doubts, so I needed to just validate.
Yes.
But here we are. We ended up with a number slightly over 2 million, unprecedented, especially that long before that we are talking about 1.2 million, I think in 2019, just before COVID, that was the highest ever number we had reached.
Right.
So even the number we had, we went deep down during the COVID time. We had dropped to just about 500,000 international arrivals, and obviously it was a difficult time.
Yes.
Then we started coming up 1.1, and then 1.2, and then we hit 1.4, just below 1.4, and here we are, 2 million.
Yes, absolutely.
And the first thing I did was obvious to reach out to my minister. I said, you know what, Minister, 3 years ago when we were having this conversation, our target was, is it possible to hit 3 million by the end of 2026? And I was the one who told you, I said, we need to perform some miracle.
Absolutely.
Maybe invite a few papas, tourism papas, to pray for us.
Absolutely.
But to be on a serious note, we set up strategies. First of all, obviously coming from the support from government, we've received the unprecedented support in terms of marketing budget, and we needed just to prove that with a little more resources, we can make things better, we can build this sector, and we should be able to ensure that we deliver the numbers. So yeah, that's what has happened, and we are quite excited.
Absolutely. Now, from a policy perspective, which ones do you think were the ones that matter the most? We understand this. It's a bevy of policies that went from reduction in the in the visa, removal of the visa fees, opening up our borders to tourists. But have you and your team sat down to say these are the ones that really stimulated this phenomenal growth in arrivals?
Yeah, I mean it's a combination of factors, like you have hinted. First of all, it was strategy. The Director General for Immigration sits on our board. He's one of my board members. So he's been part of this process and this journey. And because of sitting on the board and us giving him insight, it's part of the strategy. You saw government easily making those decisions to open up our borders. It works because we've seen it work somewhere else. Secondly, it's obviously now Minister engaging Minister of Finance, agreeing that despite the challenges we had financially, they could allocate a bit more money for us to invest in marketing. So strategy number two, again, coming from this policy where they believe that they can put a bit more money in marketing. Although marketing investment normally takes an average of 2 to 3 years before you get a return on investment.
Correct.
But this was a build-up. But also to the board of Zambia Tourism Agency, I think they believed in what we presented as management. We changed the structure. So we built up a strategy, and I went to the board and said, look, in the old strategic management I learned in school, they said structure follows strategy. Right. So we can't have a structure that responded to an old strategy. It's not going to work. And they believed in what we presented. They approved it. So we changed the whole structure of the organization, beefed up the marketing side. We created the positions that never existed. Like we have a full-time digital marketing team, which never existed before, with a bit of some people in there. And of course, we also started tweaking around licensing to moving towards focus on standards. We are saying we don't license just to collect money from the sector. We license because we want to certify standards and communicate it. This is the minimum standard a hotel, a lodge, and a guest house should have. What that does, it builds into the customer experience. We market a destination. So when a tourist comes and ends up to Kuomboka and stays in a lodge in Kaoma on the way, or in Mongu, or decides to go to Samfia and spends a night in Serenje, we are saying every lodge this tourist is going to stay in, this is the minimum we want to see. That's the standard we are looking. If you meet this standard, we certify you and we license you. That also started building into that experience of clients. And then obviously the board decided we should do a lot more stakeholder engagement. Mwelwa, you can't achieve these numbers as an entity, and I don't want to take credit as CEO. I'm just privileged to sit in that top position. The entire sector came together.
We also noticed that you had a lot of engagement with private sector players. How important was that for?
And that's the point. And this did not happen because we just wanted to meet and have fun, or quarrel, or just discuss policy. It's us building up a strategy, go and test it with private sector, and private sector now comes and say, we're on board, this is for all of us. Because the model of marketing destination is that we as a tourism agency, we are a marketing agency. We market the destination, but we don't sell. The people who sell are the operators. The lodge owners, the hotel owners, the travel agents. They are the ones who do the selling. So when we start together and say, this is a marketing plan we are proposing, they punched holes into it, we quarreled, we differed, eventually we agreed. So the first marketing plan we produced was an industry marketing plan. And that's why.
So they had skin in the game.
Yes.
Private
they took ownership. So when we finished and said, we are going to Indaba, for example, which is a travel show in South Africa, or we are going to ITB in Germany. Believe you me, in the past, on average, we had 10 miners, operators, sitting on the Zambia stand. In the last 2 years, we've built those numbers. Last year's numbers, just in Dawa alone, we had 35 private sector on the Zambian stand.
Wow.
And we cut that number because we ran out of space. We could have probably hit 50. Wow. So that's a buy-in. So they sit there and they sell. We market. So that also has worked because that's what now attracts tourists. We went to ITB in Germany. The last we had maybe 12, 13. This time around when we went there, we had 25 operators sitting there, engaging. We bring in buyers, we help them to have those meetings. So it was a combination from the government side, private sector coming in, ourselves driving the strategy, and then the ministry backing us at every point. What resources do you need? What support do you need? And I'm a very privileged CEO. When you have peers and minister who think like you, this is what happens.
Absolutely. Now, obviously now that you've shared with us that there are ambitions to get to 3 million. What is the road like? What is the road like to get to 3 billion? And then obviously some of our viewers would be curious to see, is there space for small operators, especially the entrepreneurs that want to enter the game, tourism?
Maybe the first one of hitting 3 million, it's ambitious, but now that we have hit 2 million plus, I think there's a self-belief by the whole sector and all of us and the players that I think it's possible we can do it because we know what works.
Correct.
So we are not setting, for this year, we are not at 3 million target. We had set originally 2.2 million before we had the final numbers. The minister came and says, I'm changing that number, and he has given us to hit 2.4, 2.5 million.
That's modest, but yeah.
It's modest, but you see, if by the end of this year we hit 2.5, we'll only be looking for an extra 500,000 next year, which we have done before. There is a high chance, but by the time we are ending 2026, we could just be at 3 million, and 3 million means a lot to this country.
No, it does.
3 million, and you can calculate, your financial insights should understand this. If you get 3 million tourists, and an average tourist, even if they are just spending $500 per day, and then they are going to stay for, we've now managed to check that an average tourist, they stay about an average of 8 to 12 days.
Oh.
You can imagine that in numbers. Okay. That's how much we can bring. That creates jobs. That pulls the whole value chain from hotels to food to transport. I think that's the ambition on one side. On the other side, we've noticed which strategies work, and I'm just hoping with these rains we have, government will be a bit more generous to support us financially. If we get the financial budget we are looking for, we can step up on some of these strategies. Right. Interestingly, I can disclose, because the marketing plan we have for this year is a public document. Right. We can share with you. Right. We are keen on ensuring that we get domestic tourism to run.
Absolutely. This is where Travel Local comes in. And I was very curious, where are we with Travel Local? Because you have already launched it officially. Yes. But is there any update you could share with us?
Yeah, what we have done is six months campaign, and it's highly structured. We know that there's a 6 months in a year when we are extremely busy with the international arrivals. And we have this other 6 months, which we call the green season, when it's raining, that you know that the lodges in the national parks, they will go down. But that's the time now you find that the hotels are also probably going down on the MICE side. And we are saying this is where we get the domestic people to travel. The beauty is it's also a season when most of us take holidays. Okay. So you're looking at November, December, January, February, up to March. We don't have as many international arrivals, but that's when you and me want to spend time with family, because we want to take a bit of time out of our busy schedules. And these facilities are available. So that's how we have structured it. High peak 6 months for international arrivals. That doesn't mean domestic is not working. But that's the time we also have a lot of MICE conferences and meetings. Correct, yeah. When they are off now, That's the time we say the domestic leisure time, because this is the time you take holidays. Please don't go to Dubai. Please don't go to Zanzibar. Don't go to Cape Town. Right. We've got products and better products there. Get to Lower Zambezi, Kafue National Park. And that's the whole essence of promoting the Take a Holiday Amuloko on one side. On the other side, we are also moving a cultural change. So part of what we are doing is a social marketing campaign. An average Zambian never thought of taking a holiday because they just think taking a holiday is a luxury. Right. So in this campaign, Mwelwa, what we are also communicating to people, we are saying to you is, you are very busy. I know how your busy schedules are, like mine, like many other Zambians. When do you spend time with family? It's important. A society can't transform positively if we have no time, because society starts with a family. So we are saying, take a bit of some time, even if it's a week, and dedicate it to your family, socially interact with your children, your spouse, your family members. It's a holiday, but it makes society come together and we get to know each other. It's a need. The second one is that it's healthy to take a holiday. You can't, you and me, we go to bed at 02 and we wake up at 5 and we run like that. At some point the body gets tired. Medical doctors will tell you need rest. So we are saying disengage for a week with family. Go somewhere, have nature walks in Kafue National Park, and then your body gets rejuvenated. That is also important. We are also saying economically, if we have to create jobs, those lodges out there, they need to run businesses. They employ our people. When you and me take a holiday, we spend our 200, our 300 kwacha. We are creating jobs. In fact, statistically, it's very interesting when you hear this in the tourism sector. Numbers, there's a study that was done that shows that for every 3 to 5 tourists, there's one job, formally or informally, that is created in the tourism sector. So if domestically all of us took holiday and spent that little money, you know how many jobs would create. So part of that campaign, Yam Local, is also to run with this social marketing campaign to transform behaviors, to transform habits of taking holidays, because it's important for us for the reasons I've given. Absolutely. So that campaign is on, and now what we have done is to anchor it obviously on a local travel show, which is Zatex, whose details I'm sure.
Yes, in fact, I was actually on a final note. Are you able to just share very quickly, like, the Zatex event, because we know you made a big announcement about it last week. Just we know it's an annual event. What are the key focus areas for this year's 2025 event?
Yeah, I think what is worth noting is that we have completely transformed and changed what the objective for Zatex is. Zatex simply stands for Zambia Tourism Expo. And this time around we are saying it should be domestic oriented. This is a platform we are going to create for our local tour operators to come and showcase what they have. Right. So predominantly it is going to be a domestic travel show. We are also going to have a regional component. We have reached out to our colleagues in the region to come and exhibit their products, but also come with a few buyers in the region that buy and sell tourism packages, but also a bit of international. As you are aware, we have tourism attaches in almost 12 or 13 countries. We've reached out to them. They are organizing international buyers to come to the show. And all we are looking for is, it's running from the 5th to the 7th of June. The 5th is an official opening and doing all the things we do when we have official opening. The 6th is a business day, but on the sidelines of that, we are running a number of seminars around tourism communication. Who do we expect there? Communication experts, tourism experts, you people in the media. We also want to invite influencers and celebrities that want to take part. We empower you with information. We empower you with exchange ideas on how we can market this. Then Saturday, which is the last day, the 7th, we are actually going to have a consumer day open to the public. And this is where we want our guest houses, our local adventure operators to come and showcase their products, negotiate deals, so that people can buy holidays packages for December or November or for next year right there at the show. So that's the whole structure of ZATEX, and we hope you people in the media, you help us to promote it. You are part of that show. Absolutely,
absolutely. No, Mr. Matongo, thank you so much for speaking to us. We've covered so much today. We look forward to obviously, covering especially when we build up to the ZATEX event.
As usual, thank you so much to Financial Insights. We are grateful for partnering with us in this interesting tourism journey, and hopefully together we can hit that 3 million in the next year or so.
Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching this particular episode. I've been speaking to the CEO of Zambia Tourism Agency. So, as always, continue to follow our platforms and get more insights on the Financial Insight Show. My name is Mwelwa Chibesakunda. Get to know.